Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday night, Ben's Brick Design. Welcome to it. It's the end of Brick Fiesta. I just got home about an hour and a half ago, and I am stinky and sweaty and ready for bed and ready for a beer. And I'm hoping this all is going through because I just lost power. The house flickered for second about 5 minutes ago, and it's taken a little while to get all this stuff back up and running. So it looks like it's going now, so I'm going to try to get in to make sure everybody's seeing this, and we'll start talking about Brick Fiesta, and we'll start talking about some other stuff, and I've got a little bit of building to do and what have you. So let's get rolling. Hi Brendan and Dallas, how are you guys doing? Let's flip over to the camera so I know what I'm doing. So, Brick Fiesta ended just a little while ago. The after party is kicking in as we speak, and I'm sad I'm not able to be there, but my co-host Beth, which you know is absent right now, is out of town. She is visiting friends in Colorado, and she's flying back tonight. She will be back in roughly 1 in the morning. So, I've been taking care of the animals morning and afternoon, and I've had my kids come over and feed them in the, watch over them in the middle of the day and hang out with them and that hot nonsense. So for the people who are joining me tonight, welcome to Sunday night. I hope you have a good time. So right off the bat, Brick Fiesta was very fun. It was my second LEGO convention. The first LEGO convention I've done was in 2011. It was the first Brick Fiesta held here in Austin, and I'm gonna have to do this because I can't really see what's going on. If I glance off to the side, it's because I've got multiple chats because Restream doesn't have this blah 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 blah. I'll get to your question in a second, Brendan. Restream hasn't really got its chat going into Facebook chat yet, so I'm not able to really focus on just one screen. I got a couple things going on. So the question was, the Texas Capitol, how long did it take you from build from start to finish? Well, for those who've been following along, I've been working on the Texas Capitol, and it's not finished, to answer your question. It's been 2 months since we got all the parts in, and it's still not finished. We worked on it a little bit this weekend, or I worked on it a little bit this weekend at the convention, and it's still not finished. So, hey, Crispy, thanks for joining us, man. So it's not finished, and it's going to be another month or so till I get all the roof, the rest of the roof put on. But we're to the point where I can start working on the roof, and I'm going to have some friends come over and help, some members of the lug. So to recap some stuff that happened this weekend. First of all, this is the beer tonight. We're doing the Shiner Seasonal Cerveza de Verano, and they come in different, it's all the same Spätzle, but they come in different colored labels, and I've already done one tonight, and I ordered a pizza for myself. So, because I'm a stinky, sweaty mess, hauling multiple boxes and big planks of wood with 150 pounds of brick on it is not something you want to do in the newest 100-degree day or whatever we had. So cheers, toast to Sunday and the heat wave that is now here. So now that we got that open, one thing I'd like to say is that I want to thank everybody who came to Brick Fiesta to visit and say hi. It wasn't many of the people I knew, but there were a lot of people who came out, and if you end up watching this video later, I appreciate you coming by and seeing the great builds that were there and participating in any events and games. And it was, I met a lot of great new people that I'm hoping to continue building relationships with, so it was a lot of fun. I would also like to say that I am the winner of Best Architecture for the State Capitol. So this year, instead of everybody getting kind of the same looking trophy, which is always a brick-built trophy, individuals from the LEGO user group, the TexLug group, design trophies, and I designed several of them for Star Wars and spaceships and sci-fi and fantasy. And so I won Best Architecture for the state capitol. So that's very cool. That's a very high honor. I'm very grateful for that. The Capitol went swimmingly. Despite being unfinished, it was a smash hit. People actually liked watching it being built, but I did feel like I didn't have a lot of time to work on it because I was answering a lot of questions. Oh, the drama that is me, where I have to be interviewed by local TV stations. But because it was such a big model and it was a big draw, that there were a lot of news people who came by. And they talked to Claire earlier. She's a member, she was the co-chair of the Brick Fiesta group this year. So she fielded a lot of media inquiries and had some news people stop by and talk to her. So so I'm gonna build and talk at the same time. Now that we've all seen whatever, you know what? I'm gonna do a couple of swag things. Every time you go to a Lego convention, you get swag, right? So Brick Fiesta 2019. Now that it's over, I'm gonna pimp it a little bit. I did do a live stream of all the mocks earlier, and I've got a ton of pictures that I'm gonna post for later. And there's Allie drinking some water. So every time you register for a convention of any kind, you get a special name badge that goes with it. So there you can see I got 2011 for the time I went, and there's 2019. And this was a special sticker that Claire made me because of the Studio 512 interview we did last Tuesday, in which the host called me Ben the Builder. Now, nobody told her to call me that, but now it's stuck. So everybody at the convention is calling me Ben the Builder now. So now I have a thing that says that. I feel like I'm in a Nickelodeon channel show where it's Bob the Builder, but it's this dude who does Lego. So anyway, you get badges like this. People dress up their badges depending on how many of these conventions they go to. There's a guy named Tony Sava who's kind of a prolific train builder and architect builder, and his badge is easily that big, but all it is tiles of the conventions he's gone to in the years. So it's pretty impressive. So there's that. That's not really swag. That's just something everybody has, and you can bring it every year. We also have a copy of the Brick Journal magazine, which I've never ever read my whole life. So there's that. There is a program of events and something to the Discovery Center in San Antonio. I'm not really sure what that's about, but there's that little pamphlet. They're probably a sponsor of some sort. Put that over there. Yeah, so this is the program of events, and you can see there's lots of games that people can do. One-handed building, blind building, telephone building, where people tell you the instructions and then you have to be able to do it. And then meet the presenters. There were some presenters there. And Joshua and John Hanlon were there. And I have a little bit of, not drama, but I have a little bit of a personal thing with the Beyond the Brick guys. They did the keynote address, and it was fantastic to watch. They went into the history of their channel from it being a small podcast about Lego to the world globe-trotting juggernaut that it is now. I didn't get a chance to meet Mr. Bill other than a quick handshake when I was working on the Capitol. I didn't get to go to his talk because all I was doing is building. I didn't go to any games or events. Hi, Beth. Beth is watching, so everybody say hi, Beth. All 5 or however many people are watching. Beth isn't here next to me, but she's here in spirit. Beth, the animals are fine. Allie's been fed. They've been let outside. No problems, so everything's good. And I'll see you in sweet and merciful crap. I'll see you in 5 hours. No, 3 hours. What the hops? Hey, what the hops? Glad you're here. I did get to meet. Oh, Tim was actually a presenter. Neat. Oh, and then Chris, Justin. Excellent. I got Mark Smiley's autograph. Mark Smiley designed this set. And I've talked about this set in a previous stream. He is the designer of this set. And as you can see, I got his autograph on the set, which means I can never open this box. Which means I have to buy this box again so I can open this up and build it. But he is also a designer of some renown. He's put together a Futurama ideas thing that got kicked out like immediately, probably because it's Futurama and there's heads in jars and innuendos and beer and all kinds of stuff. So, but he's also got a new idea set, which is a hand crank fish tank, and the fish rotate around and it looks like they're swimming, and it's really good. And he's got like a hand crank BB-8 where it just rolls on some wheels, and it also the head actually stays up. It's fantastic. Love you too, Beth. Okay, talk to my gate, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so she'll be back on later. So more swag. I got a couple bags of parts. I haven't gone through these yet, but they look great. This bag was obviously was made by Claire because it's full of pink and purple. This has got to be made by her. But that's very cool. Get some random parts. I also got these bag of parts that I chose for winning the award. So I got these from the whatchamacallit, the Statue of Liberty. This is just a great color, and I don't have this color in these cheese wedges, so this nice salmon color for that. And this is a really interesting dark blue kind of snot brick that I just found fascinating. So got some extra brick. I actually went pretty well I did pretty well this time not buying anything. I didn't buy any sets. I didn't buy any minifigures. I should have, because I really wanted to. I had one extra ticket. I couldn't find anybody who would want to go today, so I could have given that to anybody. And a fantastic koozie. Look at that. For your beverages. And also, custom minifigure. I'm never going to take that out of the bag probably, but he's got a sombrero. And the best part is he's got these 1x1 quarter tiles that are little tacos. Fantastic. Texas123, how you doing? She stopped by and took a look at the Capitol and introduced herself, and I was in a mad frenzy of talking to everybody, so I wasn't able to say hello. Oh, so the award I won was for Best Architecture for the Capitol. This is a nice bit of building. It's got this kind of cool tile on the top, and it's put together. It's just held by a stud right there. You can see that it's got a little ring in there and everything. So that was very cool. I'm very honored. Kind of was going for the People's Choice Award, but everybody goes for the People's Choice Award. So anyway, some good bricks. And I like the minifig, the sig fig, or the minifig. It's not a sig fig because it's not me. We had some good moments where people were taking pictures with their sig figs in front of the Capitol. Those photos are on Instagram currently, so that was very fun. Just in general, meeting a lot of people and hanging out with a lot of cool people that I've never talked to before, that are either part of the lug or had come in from Houston or from different parts of the country. So while I wasn't able to really play any of the games I wanted, or go to the panels or go to the workshops or anything like that, or even volunteer, I'd signed up to volunteer a bunch of things, and I don't know why I did that, because I knew I wasn't going to have any time to do it. I was interviewed by 3 different news crews, and then a couple other like smaller, may have been like student programs or web programs or something like that. They didn't actually tell me what it was for, but they're like, "Can we interview you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then they didn't tell me what it was for, so I was like, "Okay." So yeah. So what else happened? I got couple other things here. My house right now is full of nothing but boxes and bags of parts and unorganized mess. So like a lot of this is from stuff that I built and it just kept falling apart. So, oh, we also got a shirt. Every contributor or every member of the convention gets a shirt, so that's a very cool shirt. I also bought a shirt. I don't know how many times I've mentioned Will Heron Designs, but I got this shirt as well. I actually bought this. It wasn't given to anybody, but this is kind of a phrase that people say in Lego building. It's called forever sorting. It just means that it doesn't matter how much brick you have or how little you have, you always feel like you're trying to figure out where to put it, because the amount you have is always more than the containers that come with it. So you end up just with Lego everywhere. I also got this. This was just handed to me for being a good member of the community. It's a very nice poster of Lego Boba Fett from the Lego Star Wars game that's being re-released. 20-year anniversary logo up there. It's a very nice cardstock. I don't think it was a limited print run because I don't see any limited print run numbers or anything like that, but he had a bunch of them to hand out. Again, I'm horrible with names, so if you're watching, it was good meeting you. He was very nice and kept talking to me about stuff. So, and my cat's just sitting on all my swag now, because if it fits, he sits. So this was something. Thanks for the host, Hops. I think probably Tucker. I appreciate that. So hopefully we get some people from Mixer tuning in. So this is something everybody got as well, along with the shirt and everything. They all got a little Capitol building to build. So that's pretty slick. This was designed by Nathan Webster, member of the TechSlug community. And it comes in a nice little thing with some instructions, so you're not sitting there trying to figure out how to do it. So if you check out my Instagram page, I did a picture of this one in front of the modular size Capitol in front of the big Capitol. So that was a lot of fun. It was very Inception-y, big brother, little brother kind of thing. What's up, Lego Geek? Welcome back. So that's it kind of for Brick Fiesta. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but I'm going to flip over to the build cam, and we're going to continue building Voltron. Now, hey, thanks for the host, Goldie. If you're watching, thanks for the host. The last stream we were working on the Blue Lion, and I just kind of went ahead and finished it. I finished working on it because it was just, no, last time we completely finished it. Yeah, knocked it out pretty quick. I didn't have to wait for everything. So that got done. And then during Bricksmith was hosting, hi Erica, thanks for watching. Bricksmith was doing a hangout, so I started on the Black Lion, and this is about how far I got. Something I noticed interesting about the Black Lion, and I don't think I have the parts anymore for it, may have put them over here, is that it comes with a nice gold star and a nice gold or pearl gold tire iron for the cross. Because if you remember the old school Voltron, it had a nice little cross emblem in the middle of it. And so you can see this comes with, a nice pearl gold tire iron, because that's basically what it is, or whatever it's called. But it also, that tire iron came in a bag, and I cannot figure out why. Maybe somebody else can tell me in the Lego community. Yeah, Bricksmith's pretty cool. He's trying to get me to go to the Alabama or Mississippi or Greater Southern convention in January. I'm not saying I'm not going to. I don't know what I would bring. I can't bring the Capitol. I could bring my plane, my RQ-4. I could bring the tower. Handful of other things maybe, but it's a drive, and I'd have to convince Bethany to go to Mississippi in January. So I'm going to flip over the build cam real quick so you can see this. Not only did it come with that gold tire iron, it came with these random golden tools. A wrench, couple socket wrenches, and peen hammers, and screwdrivers, and an oil. I mean, I don't know what that's for, but maybe it's just for like, hey guy, I heard you liked these tools. So here's some golden tools. So anyway, this is where I'm on this is obviously going to be the body of the final robot, and then here's the, lion's going to be shaped like this. So I'm going to keep building. Again, here's the award. Ooh, maybe I should just put the award right here. Award-winning builder. All right. So, Beyond the Brick was there. And as you can see by the stickers that everybody gets from Beyond the Brick after their talk, everybody gets a sticker. Yeah, I think because they couldn't separate out they come in a nice aerated package, and they just decided, everybody just gets that. That was my thinking too. It's just like, instead of separating it out into one thing. There's a space set that does that too. I forget which one, but you get all the tools. It's the same one. They're just black instead of pearl gold. So Beyond the Brick was there, and it's kind of a big thing if you get interviewed by Beyond the Brick, because Beyond the Brick is a big YouTube channel. They interview a lot of builders, and they go to conventions all over the world. And so to be kind of picked by them to be interviewed is kind of a big deal. So we knew they were going to be there, and we see them in their red shirts floating around the convention with their camera and their headphones, and they're talking to people, and we're all kind of hanging around our mocks, hoping that they kind of come by and check us out. And then they do their keynote speech, which was very entertaining and fascinating. That's the thing, Lego Geek. I didn't get one. I'm a little upset, but I can't fault them. Their reasoning is likely that it wasn't finished yet. So my guess is they didn't want to interview somebody with a half-finished mock or a half-finished building or a half-finished anything. So it's not like they can come over and say, hey, look how cool this is, but it's not done yet. I completely get it. But I was still a little they took pictures of it, so it may end up on their Instagram page or something, or Facebook page or something. But I was a little upset. I felt a little snubbed. But there are other members of our local chapter who did get interviewed, so that was very cool. I think they talked to Justin about his movie vignettes, and they talked to Ed about his castle. And there's a new guy that I met. He had a very nice spacecraft that was very distressed and had blaster marks in it, and the painting and the rendering was very good on it. If it was decals or custom made or anything like that, it was very good. Still kind of upset that they didn't come over and at least say, hey man, that's really cool, we've been watching it, or something like that. It felt like they were avoiding me. It was really weird. Like they didn't say word one to me at all ever. So a little weird. Anyway, not going to focus on it. Had a lot of people show up. It was I think a very successful convention. So I'm really glad that we got the turnout we did, and we'll just have to wait to see in the next days or weeks what the turnout was and what the numbers are, so we can all slap ourselves on the back and say how good of a convention was put on. I didn't help hardly at all. I did some of the trophies, like I said, but I wasn't able to volunteer as much as I thought I could, because I literally spent every hour that I was at the convention building. And you can see on Instagram how much I got done during that time, and it doesn't seem like it's that impressive, but I felt like I did a fairly decent job of it while I was there. And I had a lot of help. A couple other members of the lug showed up. They were all there, but a couple showed up specifically to help build, so that was very cool. We went and commandeered a ballroom and just brought all the boxes in and sorted and built as fast as we could, which is not really very fast. Working with the software and not knowing exactly how each piece fits together, because you've designed it 2 years ago and you don't remember how it all works. I was constantly kind of amazed that I made certain design choices, so it's really hard for people to help. And I applaud them, and I'm eternally grateful for all the help that has been given so far. I just hope people realize that when they say I'd like to help and then I never ask for any help, it's not because I don't want to help, it's just that I don't know what capacity they can help. And I feel like an ass sometimes when that happens, but honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how you can help. But if I figure it out, definitely. So the thing that did happen that was very, very heartwarming was I got a lot of help ferrying the capital over to the convention. So I had 5 people show up, and there was one guy, and I don't remember his name, and I feel really bad. I think it was Jeff. He and his son showed up, and they drove the dome out, and that was very cool. And then I had 3 other people help out, and because my car is just not big enough to do it. I've got a little Mazda 2, and there's no way that behemoth is getting in there. So the fact that I got such an outpouring of help from these fine folk is wonderful. And I reminded them that when it's completed and it's ready to go up into its final viewing place, that, oh, that's interesting. I don't know how that's supposed to go together at all. Weird. that I may need to call on them again. And I told them that if it's the same people that were there last time, I will take them all out to dinner. So if you have a van or a minivan and would like to be part of history, no, it's already been spoken for. I don't get too many people involved. So the general reaction to the building itself was very favorable. Kids really liked it. Parents liked explaining it to them about what it was. And since I was kind of standing in front of it, building, so there's a lot of people kind of behind me, and then I would sneak out and go grab some more pieces and come back and work on it. And I had a lot of big, all right, Lego Geek, take care. I had a lot of big plastic bags kind of inside the building while I was working. And I'm going to move some of these pieces over here so it's a little more visually entertaining. You can see all the pieces that I'm working on. And the instructions. Maybe not the instructions. Anyway. But there was a lot you could hear the comments behind it, or behind me as I was working. So there was a lot of, look, it's the Capitol building here in Austin, which I giggled at. And then, you know, he's still working on it. Look at that, he's still working on it. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I know it would have been better, it would have been more impressive if it just showed up and was there and was huge. And just, you know, just me standing around kind of gloating about it. It's like, yeah, look what I did, you know. And, you know, not give anybody else any credit despite the fact that I had so much help getting it done. I totally lost what I was going to say. I think the idea that we can show the kids who are there that it's being worked on, that's not something that I've really ever seen at a convention. There's been times people are building stuff, but it seems like they just bought the set at a vendor, or it's part of a game or event or challenge or something like that. So you don't ever really see somebody working on like a really giant model while they're there. It's usually, hey, it's finished and I'm bringing it to show. This is me putting my best foot forward, and you know, this is the final product. But it allowed me to talk to kids and parents about the process, because I wasn't just kind of hiding behind the model. And not like people hide behind their models. They're very forthcoming, and they're very chatty about, they want to talk to people about it. They want to tell people about Lego and about learning the trade and the craft and being perseverant towards your models, and how to overcome the fact that it's an expensive hobby, and, you know, they want to talk to people. But being out in front of it and, you know, being at the ready with data about how big the thing is and how much time you spent working on it, and I think that you know, added a certain aspect to what people normally expect, which is a lot of sitting behind tables and just kind of barely making eye contact with people, which I hated at my time as an artist doing comic book work, where you sit behind your art and just watch people kind of glaze as they go by and not really ever interacting. So, but I will say that my voice is completely shot, talking to everybody, and it is a loud ballroom where you have to shout to be heard most of the time, especially in the early parts of Saturday and Sunday. I almost didn't do this because my voice is just trashed and my throat is a bit sore. But I have tomorrow off. I was smart and I took tomorrow. I don't like when they do this, when like, here's the instruction. That's the instruction. I know they have to do that because then you're going to put something over it, but whatever. But yeah, it was loud in there. Thanks, Hops. My voice is, it's all right here. It's like, it doesn't sound hoarse or anything, but my throat is very sore, and I'm also kind of congested. I don't know why. I could also tell at some point it was getting very humid, in that my hands would get sticky and clammy and they would stick to the bricks. And so I'm constantly working on the model, but every time I dip my hand into a bag, it's like they're sticking to my hand, and I've got to, you know, take a break and go wash my hands and go outside for a second. And so it was challenging, but it was fun. I wish I had more time to interact with people, but I think that's of my own design. I could have just, you know, either not brought the capital, which was the whole point of doing it in the first place, or I could have just brought as is and said, I'm not going to build anything. Just put up a sign that says in progress or something like that, and then gone and hung out with everybody, which I probably should have done anyway. But I was still able to meet a lot of people and hang out with the people I already knew, whom I like. A lot of the lug members I'm pretty good friends with now. So that was very cool. I was a little sad, and I hope the people, yeah, that's the next thing, Erica. I'm totally going to get con crud. So they didn't have, that's something I was going to suggest to the chairs of Brick Fiesta, Will and Claire, if you're watching, which I know you're not. Might I suggest that the entryways to the ballroom be, or have a couple bottles of Purell just hanging around there. Or next time I'm just going to bring some to put on my table. Because while the kids aren't supposed to touch anything, they're touching everything. And it's just, you know, you walk in and out, you touch door handles, and you go up stair railings and bathroom whatevers, and there's a lot of people, and it's little kids that are little kids, you know, they're sniffly and rubbing stuff on their face and whatnot, so they get a little sick. And yeah, you get con crud. So I fully intend to be a little sick later, but I think it's just a lot of talking that did me in the first time. So we shall see what the next few days shall bring. Does anybody have any questions about the convention? Or what we did it for, or what was involved, or anything about like what I'm building now, or any questions about the Capitol or anything like that? Feel free to ask. Not that I am going to not just sit here and randomly talk about stuff, but if you have anything specifically, I would love to answer it for you. Again, I'm here till 9:30, at which point I think I'm going to maybe take a nap, or I don't know, play some Star Wars. But I'm definitely going to be up till about 12:30, so. The irony of that statement, Hops, is that the style of building Lego in which the studs are not on the top is called snot building. So yeah, snotty kids doing their snotty stuff. What was the hardest thing about designing the Capitol in Studio? So for those who aren't familiar, Studio, or stud.io, is the Bricklink created software that allows you to, it's basically CAD software with Lego bricks as the tools. And it allows, or as the media, and it allows you to build Lego sets digitally. Lego actually has its own called Lego Digital Designer, or LDD, and there's another one called LCAD, which is more of a CAD program. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses. The official Lego one, I think, has a larger inventory, but it's all very official parts, so anything that's a retired part doesn't exist in their database. Stud.io isn't completely, their database of parts isn't complete, but they do have a lot of retired parts and older parts that you can still get on their site, but not really Lego's side, because Lego's retired it. The hardest thing, I think, was, well, two things. One, the repetitive nature of how the building looks. It was mostly that it was mind-numbing. There's a lot of, I had designed it before Studio had the function to mirror. So I would build something, and then I'd have to repeat it on the other side of the building. They didn't have the opportunity to cut or create a section and then mirror it and paste it. So LDD or LCAD did have that option. So what I ended up having to do for the east and west wing was create it and then export it out, import it into LCAD, mirror it, copy it back into Studio, and then I'd have a whole other west or whatever wing, right? And then I could build the center. And so that was kind of a challenge because, and now they've updated the software to where there's mirroring. So had I just waited, it wouldn't have been a problem. The other problem that I had with it is that because the model was so large, and I was using a computer that was not awesome. It was a fine computer for, doing day-to-day stuff, and graphics for the most part weren't a problem. But when you get up to 65,000 pieces, the memory of the machine starts to slow down because it's taking into account not only so many pieces, but every connection that those pieces make to each other, which can really drain the memory. So I contacted them about it, and they're like, well, send us the file. It's probably just your machine. I'm like, I know it's my machine, but is there anything I can do to kind of limit it? And so they're like, yeah, if you turn off, and this is for anybody who's worked in the software, if you turn off collision and snapping, which is, the piece's ability to snap into place once you move it, or collision, which is the software's ability to tell you that it will not fit on that certain piece because it's bumping into something else. If you turn those off, the software should run better, and it did. But then I'm running into having mirrored it. There are certain pieces that are rotationally important, like corner pieces, to where if you mirror it and it's originally like this, on the mirrored side it's also like this. It doesn't flip over. So while the pieces flip over, they kind of flip in place. They don't actually rotate. So if there was anything that was sort of like a 2x2 corner plate or brick, wouldn't rotate in the mirroring. So, and I don't know if that's been fixed or not. But that caused a lot of problems because a lot of those were kind of structurally important areas along the corners of the walls and joiners and things like that, to where now if I turned on collision, there was a whole thing that was broken and I have to go figure out what it was. The final challenge being the software doesn't have gravity. It doesn't know that if you build nothing but walls and then just try to slap a roof on top of it, it's going to collapse. So while the Capitol did not collapse, and while I did build some some internal structures to it to keep it stable, I had no way of knowing if this was going to work or not. I did not know that if I put the roof on one of the wings or the other, that it would actually hold up. So I was a little scared when we finally got down to it. Luckily it worked, but getting some of the roofing in place was a little touch and go. The roof is basically a giant piece of flat plate with some tiles and slopes on it. And honestly, I didn't design it well. So I'm going to kind of take a hit and slap a bunch of my own plates underneath it to shore it up. So I'm not asking the lug to provide more funds to buy more parts for it. I think at this point I've got several months to get it done. Yeah, and the stability feature is hit or miss. Studio does have Josh's question or comment about the stability issue. It does offer, and this is great for smaller models. This is great for if you're building something that's, larger than a microfighter but smaller than, a battleship or something like that. It does have the ability to say, well, if you turn it on, it tells you if there's a clutch power issue. Like, for example, this isn't going to be very stable, right? It's only attached by one stud, and that can snap really easily. Versus this, which is a lot more stable. It's got more things to hold on to. So it will tell you if there's a clutch power issue. It will also tell you if it's unstable in that it may have a weight distribution problem. And I've got a mosquito flying around my face. It may tell you that the stability issue may be that they're worried about the tension on certain pieces. So it's like you've overweighted this part. There's a likelihood that this might cause a tension problem. It might break a piece, or it might cause it to have a gravity balance issue or something like that. So it is hit and miss, because depending on the size of the model, it may not even matter. You know, you're building a square thing, it doesn't matter. And a lot of it too is real world application. You really have to take these into the physical realm and build it and see how it works. There were a lot of instances working on the Capitol where I didn't have any idea if a lot of the hinges and plates swivel plates would work or not. So I would, you know, it looked like it would in the software, and I tweaked the hinges to their specified degrees based off how many sides it had, and it would it kind of would work, but then it would like have a lot of collision issues, and so I was going back and forth, was trying to figure out how much can I rotate this and how much does it need to rotate before it doesn't work, and it was just a nightmare. And then putting it together, it just seemed like I had so much more freedom. I had so much more room to try to play with it and toy with it, and I could try all kinds of different things to get it to work. Unfortunately, though, I didn't have the parts to do it, because I'm trying to use the parts that we bought. So I didn't want to like go in and suddenly say, oh yeah, this would work great if I only had 100 more of these, because I personally don't have 100 more of any one of these parts. So I had to kind of work with what we had, and in the end, I think it was a stable, you know, build that doesn't travel necessarily very well if it's, you know, the dome sitting in the back of somebody's truck. Not the driver of the truck's fault. It's just the fact that it's a 20-spoked flower. You know, it's just pedals going all the way up and then not joining at the top. So I may have some time where I can go back and work on this and kind of address some of the issues now that I know how it either travels or doesn't travel very well. But it only has to travel one more time. It only has to get to its final resting place, and then it can do whatever it wants. My other concern is that it'll get there, and after years of nobody kind of babying it and taking care of it, that it'll start falling apart, and they'll be constantly calling me in and having to remove a giant piece of glass to get at it, and I'm gonna have to go in there and tweak it and fix it. So the more stable I can make it now, the better. So thanks for the question, Josh. So I am super tired and super sore. My ribs hurt, my knees hurt, and my back hurt, because standing in one place for 6 hours for 4 days, I don't envy shift workers or line workers or anything like that. It's not that I don't envy them. I applaud them. They have a rough job, and I wouldn't want that job. I mean, I suppose I would get used to it, but you know, given time, but it just seems like such an awful thing to do. And there's a lot of leaning over the table, and it was just, it was crap. Oh, thanks, Hops. Appreciate that. Technic interior skeleton. So I initially designed the wings to have a bit of a Technic interior skeleton, but I'm not an engineering person, and I've never really built a lot with Technic, but there was Technic involved when I did this initially. And again, I had no idea how much weight was involved. I had no idea what kind of pressure a single joint would have if I tried to span it across a full width of the building and then try to mount stuff on top of it without actually playing with it. So there was a lot of real world cases where I didn't have enough information, I didn't have any idea how it would behave once I got it built. But now that I have, and you know, everybody has, what? Oh, I think I broke this. I totally broke that. So now that I've got a better appreciation of how it actually works, I can go back and kind of tweak it, and I can. We're building giant towers inside of it to support the roof. I think the thing is too, once the roof is built, it's a stable enough piece that it could just sit on the 4 walls and be fine. But I'd rather it have some sort of support underneath. So we built some towers underneath it, and the other kind of cantilevered roof sections do have like a support spine underneath that. So it's not without complete merit. But yeah, I've never been a good Technic builder. So a lot of the minuscule aspects of it just kind of escape me. So if I could get away with just doing maybe like giant amounts of cross beams and stuff, that would be good. Also, I found that because I've done a couple builds with Technic, mostly spaceships, and I'm talking about, and also the RQ4 that I built, where the Technic actually sags more than I'd like it to. So if I were to do like a lot of, I don't even know the really technical term for it, but like the way sky cranes kind of have the rigid kind of cross beamed all the way up. If I had more like that, it would probably be fine. So if I had enough to where I could get kind of a lattice work going up, it would be more stable. Again, it's a investment in parts. And while I could do that for 1 or 2 pieces of wall segments or 1 or 2 sections of the roof, I probably couldn't do it with my brick alone for the whole building. So again, I'll just have to buy some parts, and hopefully they'll get here in time and allow me to finish by the time the Capitol people say, or the Visitor Center people say that they're ready for it. So, what were people asking about more, your mocks or the Capitol? Seeing as how my mocks were kind of spread around to the convention was set up in that each part of the ballroom had a different theme. So, or not even really theme, but all Star Wars and superheroes builds are over here. All creatures and mechs were over here. Historical, military, architecture, castle. They had a youth build. They had pop culture. So they had a wide range of categories. So all my stuff was like spread out all over the place. So I was in military with the RQ4. I had all my microfighters in Star Wars. I had a city build with an 8-wide beach house. I had a castle throne room in the castle section, the Capitol, and like 4 other buildings and architecture. Oddly enough, despite the fact that I love Star Wars and spaceships so much, most of my stuff was architecture. I just find that kind of funny. So I was standing by the Capitol the whole time. So and the owl was there. So again, for you 2 people in the description, link to the owl voting. It got almost 0 votes this time around at the convention. So I'm a little bummed about that. But it was hard to kind of talk to people about it because all they wanted to talk about was how many pieces was it? Are you gluing it together? How long did it take you? How much did it cost? And I actually had a little sign up on the other, on the corner of it that was like, it's 65,000 pieces. It took 2 months to do. I don't know how much it cost. It's going to go to the visitor center when I'm done. And despite that, people will, still come over and ask questions. And I talked to a lot of old men who really appreciated the history of the thing and were, very proud of me for doing it, which I thought was adorable. But again, I wasn't able to go, and over here were all my Star Wars sets, and you should go across the way here to where my owl is, and vote for that for ideas, and talk to them about ideas bits. Because by the time I got done answering their question, the place was such a nut house of plastic and lights and moving pieces that they didn't care. They got their answer. Now they're moving on to the next really awesome thing, which right next to the Capitol was a giant 9-foot aircraft carrier, and next to that was 2 tables worth of classic space just humming and buzzing and lighting up. And I mean, mine was this giant static, not ugly piece of architecture, but hey, Justin. Hi, Justin. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, they were all over the place. I actually thought I might win the Polymocker too because I didn't realize that David had so many in there too. I think had I done a spaceship or a train, I might have got that. But I got the architecture one, architecture. So it was a lot of fun. There was another question. So yeah, they were asking about the Capitol more. I tried to shoe in a little bit about, I would compare it to the other things that I'd built, to try to get them, to either go check it out or to think about other ways to build and that kind of stuff. What other major pieces do I need to finish? Honestly, everything that was in the software got ordered. It's just a matter of finding them and making sure I don't run out, because a lot of the pieces that we got were, I'm just sitting there fondling this thing. I need to really kind of work on it. Everything isn't, it's not like I need to order anymore. Oh, with exception, I effed up a piece of the roof, and I don't know if I can show you really quick, but I ordered, the order was to have, the order was for a bunch of sand green slopes and corner slopes, and I initially got the bag of corner slopes, which was twice as much as we needed, and I don't know why we ordered that many, but when we did, it was probably seen as, well, we're just gonna order extra and then the rest goes to the lug, and that's fine. But I saw the amount of corner slopes, they're the 33-degree corner slopes, so the kind of the big fat wide ones, and I saw all those and was like, nope, we're good. We don't need any more slopes. So when people were like, do you need me to bring any or volunteer any? I'm like, no, we got everything we need. And then we started building today or yesterday, and I was like, oh crap, we're completely out of this. I don't have another bag for any of this. So now I have to go suck it up myself, because I'm pretty sure I don't want the lug to pay for any more of that. But if people have it, like Claire donated some stuff, and but I'm just gonna go to Bricklink and see if I can find some more. We don't need that many, but it's I can't finish either of the wings roofs without those, so I'm gonna have to get those pretty quick. I think the rest of everything though we've got, and I might just be able to make do without if that's the case. So we'll see. I think we're good, but won't know until we run into it. And there's a lot of cases too where when I designed it in the software, I didn't realize kind of what I was doing. I was just kind of making stuff up to make it fit. So there were a lot of like really squirrely pieces where I was like, why did I put this here? That doesn't need to be like that. I can take two pieces of the same, I can replace this with one and it'd be better. So I do that and I save a couple pieces, but then I lose two pieces by trying something else later. So I'm not matching the software 100%, especially like internally and what's behind the walls, and I'm taking a lot of liberties, and I'm hoping that those liberties don't mean I end up running out of pieces just because I'm making stuff up. Oddly enough, when the camera people were there for the news channels, they would come in and they would mic me up and they'd have their camera and they would ask me a set amount of questions, or they'd talk to me a little bit and then they'd be like, or then they'd ask some questions and then they'd say, okay, well, I want to get the camera set up and get a light set up, and then I'm going to basically ask you all these same questions that I just asked you now. And okay, sounds good. And so they would, and then they'd be done and like, all right, that's cool. Now I want to get some shots of you doing some stuff, some B-roll of just, you building and, your hands doing stuff. And I'm like, all right. And they're like, so I'll set the camera up here and just build. And I'd be like, well, I can't just stand here and build. I need to go around the back and get pieces, or dig under the thing where the boxes are to get more pieces. And they're like, no, just do something with your hands. And I'm like, okay. So I ended up like building and then tearing down everything that I built in that 20 minutes, because I'm just putting stuff up in place because it looks right, and then I'd have to tear it down because it didn't match what the design was. So that was a lot of fun. And by fun, I mean I wanted to gouge my own eyes out. But it was totally worth it because it got the convention a lot of buzz about coming down and taking your kids to something in the middle of the day. And so it was worth it. Thanks for the question. Da, 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 da. Nobody wants me singing. So this is what I'm going to be doing for the next little while because I am kind of burnt out on the Capitol. Fake news. It's all fake news. I'm going to take a break from the Capitol for a few days, maybe a week. Might focus a little bit back on the microfighters or just not do some Lego for a while. I mean, this is like 4 days straight of building and just you have this smell of plastic in your face. And while I love it, I do kind of think I need a break from it. But not for long because I got work to do. I got to get this thing done. And it traveled well, so I don't have a lot to rebuild. The dome, a couple pieces of the dome fell off, but I mean, I was kind of expecting that. Okay, well that's not working as well as I thought it should. So there was a point too where, yeah, it totally is an appropriate time to call it fake news because I was not building properly. So there was a point where I was walking around, I think Justin knows this, and because I was talking to him about it, and the Beyond the Brick guys were walking around, and everybody was kind of eyeing them, like, you know, kind of hovering around their thing and said, please come by me and talk to me about my stuff. Because, you know, you get interviewed by them and they get, you know, a million hits a day kind of thing. And to be able to be recognized as a good builder is kind of a huge thing. So so I'm wandering around, I'm fake building, or I'm like busy work building, or I'm just kind of filling stuff in and kind of straightening up and keeping the place, you know, keeping it clean. And they were kind of milling around the convention. And then a news crew would show up, and Will would, one of the co-chairs, Will, would come over and he's like, hey, this is so-and-so here from Spectrum News. Do you mind if they talk to you for a few minutes? And Will's just the nicest guy. And I'm kind of like, yeah, absolutely, that sounds great. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't care, it's cable news. I want Beyond the Brick over here talking to me. Oh, it's just news. It's just local news. They don't get a million hits. So I felt kind of like a media douchebag when I did that, but I was like, I don't know, I don't care. But overall, the convention was, I think, a success. I think everybody had a good time, and everybody got a lot of free stuff, and everybody contributed quite well. I think everybody had a good time doing the games and making new friends or rejoining old friends. A lot of these people don't see each other for a year. They'll show up from out of town, from Dallas or Houston or San Antonio. San Antonio is a little different because it's pretty close. And we tend to see some of the San Antonio train guys more often. But Houston and Dallas, we see them in emails, but we don't really get to see them outside of these conventions. So I think a lot of people reunited with people that they didn't, you know, they haven't talked to in a long time. And I met a couple great new people this time. And it was nice to see some of the people from the meetings because I haven't been to the meetings in like 6 months because I've been doing this. So, yeah, Spectrum News will play it every 8 minutes. I actually know a guy who used to work with Spectrum News, and I say no in that he is my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. And he was a cameraman at Spectrum News, super sweet guy. But yeah, like when I used to have cable and I lived in Austin, when I could get, when it was News 8 Austin, before it was YNN and before it was Spectrum News, I used to love News 8 Austin, man. It was the best. But this, I won't say this is something he would cover, but it just seemed like something he might cover. And the cameraman was the News 8 or the Spectrum people. I called it all three just now. They were really nice people. They were fantastic. Like, just, they seemed really interested and very, very nice about it. And the cameraman was just, he seemed giddy. He seemed like he wanted to drop his camera and just come hang out and play with everybody. It was really cool. So there was a new guy, and I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but his name was Synthetic Mason. He's got a YouTube channel as well that I just subscribed to today. I think we started hanging out because he had a shirt on. He was, everybody's setting up the first day, and he had a shirt on that said bricks and beers. And of course, that's what I'm doing. The whole thing that I was starting this channel on was I'm just going to build and design and drink beer. So I'll get a new beer every time, and I'll rate it, I'll, critique it or talk about it. My friends and I are all big. I say big. We're all beer heads, so we like going to breweries and sampling new stuff and all that kind of thing. So I thought, well, this will be fun. I'll kind of shtick it in there. And so I see this guy's shirt. I'm like, where did you get that shirt? Because the logo for Bricks looked like Cheers, right? So I was like, oh man, that's super great. He's like, yeah, it's this guy who has a YouTube channel where he builds Lego and drinks beer. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I was mortified, I tells you. But he and I hung out a lot. He's a super cool guy. He couldn't have been more than, he was probably like half my age. I mean, he wasn't young, but he wasn't my age because I'm super old as it is. But he had all the same kind of love of, like Robotech and Tron and Transformers. And so we bonded pretty good. So I hope he follows back and we can continue. He's in Austin, so I hope we can hang out and do stuff. So that's a good example of meeting new people and just being able to hang out with some good Lego folk. And Justin's good Lego folk too. Justin in Facebook, if anybody didn't know, it was in there. And you guys in YouTube and stuff may not see it, but he was the guy who won Best Pop Culture Award. And then, or not pop culture, but you won both. Pop culture, photography, and then People's Choice. Won People's Choice, right? For his movie vignettes, which are fantastic. Hopefully you can check them out on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram. So everything was good. The new guy that I met, Synthetic Mason, and I were both kind of wanting to be interviewed by the Beyond the Brick, and I don't think either of us got it, so we were kind of like, yeah, it's not a successful convention because I didn't get the YouTube hits. That's all I care about. Meanwhile, I'm sending links to all the local news articles to my parents because I'm like, hey, you should come check me out on YouTube, and they're like, what? Like, come on, So I think I'm done with this bag, which means it's 9:06. I'm gonna grab another beer and then finish this up for the next 20 minutes. Y'all doing okay? Everybody cool? Any questions about what we're doing? Uh-oh. Yep, that was put on backwards. Any question about what I'm doing wrong with this stupid thing? You're doing it backwards, son. All right. This looks like a leg, so we'll finish up with this leg, and then I'm gonna drift to the kitchen and grab a beverage. That was the other thing. I'll tell you here in a second. Oh, that's not a good, that's a weird piece to be extra. This little ball socket thing. So I'll be back in 2 seconds. Don't anybody go anywhere. It's just like 10 feet that way. So I'll keep shouting. Y'all keep talking. There's music. If you can hear the music, dance among yourselves. And Miss Allie probably needs to go outside. She's only been outside twice. Do it blindfolded. Well, if somebody was giving me instructions, was telling me instructions, I could do it blindfold. I don't think I could do that now, though. I like the way these clip in. I know that the transformation is going to be taking these shoulder bits off and then repositioning them. It's not going to rotate, but I'm kind of okay with that. Uh-oh. Yeah, that one was backwards too, you dumb idiot. Can't believe I did that. Maybe it's the beer. Bye, Justin. We'll see you at the next meeting, hopefully. If not, I'll find you on Instagram. Laters. All right. Better? Better. Front legs of the Black Lion. So we are into bag 10. And where's my tub of extra parts? So far, these are the extra parts. A lot of extra parts across several lions. All right, so I just got a 6-pack of this stuff. My wonderful bottle opener with the butt hanging out. Goodness. So Texas 123, what was your impression of the convention of Brick Fiesta? You stopped by, and I know I've said this before, but you stopped by when I was like talking to like 8 people. And I had seen your name on Instagram, so I was like, oh, I know you. I actually recognize your handle. Come here and talk to me. And then 9 other people show up. So I'm glad you were there. I hope you had a good time. Were you just there for the day, or did you like, because I didn't see you after that day. I didn't know if that was like you did a public day viewing, or if you paid the full like whatever for an exhibitor or anything like that. Hi Laura, how's it going? Hope you're having a good time. If you're just joining us, because I don't know exactly who's jumping in and out of Twitch or Mixer, but we're building Voltron, we're drinking a beer, I'm showing off my award from Brick Fiesta where I won Best Architecture for my Texas State Capitol. We're drinking some Shiner, and I got some people in chat. Just that day. Lots of cool builds, that's for sure. I was going to say something now, I totally forgot. So, it must have been a lie. So, this being my only second convention now, you get that feeling that you have a bug of wanting to do more. You want to go to more conventions, and you want to meet more people, and you want to talk to more people and make more friends, and kind of get into that culture. I think it's an entire lifestyle too of doing conventions, because I know that I know that a lot of people will do nothing but conventions all year. They will sign up for 2 or 3, and that's their vacation, that's their savings, that's everything to them. And that's, in some cases that's networking, and it's a business. But it's what they do. And I saw it a lot when I was doing comic book art too. People will sink their entire savings or their entire salaries into being able to travel like this, to go to these places and work with contemporaries and show off their work, or sell stuff if they're a vendor. And that's just not something I really ever got to the point where I could do. I did do one comic book convention a long time ago in Chicago. It was a Wizard World Chicago, and this is when the kids were really young, and I think I'm already missing a piece. And I know I panic. Oh, I always panic. It's always there. So I just felt like it's not something I could sustain. I really wanted to, but I felt 2 things: that I wasn't a good enough artist to do that full time yet, and the congestion is starting to hit. So, but I also felt like I had to make a choice between the kids that I had and being able to give up a relatively good job in order to support them and kind of chase my dream. And I was like, well, but I'm already like in my 30s. Maybe I should have thought about my dream a few years before, and before I started, making a family and bringing other people into the world. So I felt like it was the better thing to do to kind of be a bit more responsible. But now that they're older, one is going into college, and her college is in no means completely paid for. So there's going to be a lot of helping to offset what isn't covered with scholarships and grants and stuff. But now that they are older, I feel like I can start doing a few more projects and trips, and maybe start doing more conventions and things like that, where I can start networking with people and getting my name out there as a builder or whatever this is coming to. And this is not going in. It's not black, is it? Oh my goodness, that was tough. Oh, and I gotta do two of them. That's awesome. So I met a young guy who is probably just now 20. Because I think when he had registered his model, he was 19, because he had originally registered as a T-fall and not an A-fall. So he was right next to me. He was the one that had the 9-foot or the 8-foot long aircraft carrier. And I remember this because he told everybody who walked by, it was the USS Julian. It was an aircraft carrier of his own design, based off something. It was very impressive, but I noticed when he was putting it together that the inside of it was all multicolored, because when you're doing a structure, it doesn't matter what it looks like on the inside, because nobody's ever going to see it. But I was lucky enough to have seen it, and I noticed that it was all reds and blues and discolored white brick. And I asked him specifically, I was like, how much of that discolored white brick do you have? And he said, a lot. And I said, I will buy it from you, because I think the next big project I'll probably do, once this thing is done, not this thing, but once the Capitol is done, is I want to do, I want to finish the UT Tower. I've got the UT Tower, but I want to do the main building around it. So I told him that so part of I think the unique look of the one that I've done is that it has the yellowed brick that looks like, and you yellow the white brick so it looks a little dingy, and then you put it next to actual white brick and you repeat that, so you get what is kind of like a sandstone looking thing. So I told him I would buy it, because there is another UT Tower on campus, and I think it was done by a student or an alumni, that is all white, and I don't think it looks as good. There are other design choices that I think look really good, that I think look probably better than mine, but I don't like the fact that the building is so white, because it's obviously not a shock white building. And I'm talking like he got brand new white bricks for this. So if I can keep the aesthetic of that. Hi, Holly. I see that Holly has joined us, that popped in. It's funny, I see people joining and then there's one viewer, so I'm like, well, they scrolled by really quickly. Oh, where does the back of that go? All right, those are studs out, so we're gonna do this, right? Oh yeah, because there's clips and everything. Oh my goodness, this is really, okay, I get it. So anyway, yeah, because I want to keep the aesthetic of that yellowed kind of sandstone look, because I think that looks better. But that just means amassing a lot of brick that nobody really wants because it's gross, so they throw it away or they get rid of it, or whatever. So if you, a viewer, have yellowed white bricks And I'm just talking 2x4s and 2x2s and 1x2s. Nothing fancy, just straight brick. If you have any of that, please contact local authorities. No. Let me know in the comments, or let me know here, or email me, or message me on Instagram or something like that, and we will make it happen. I also, at the time, I think I couldn't really finish it because the ceiling, or the roof tiles of the building were kind of an orange. I think they're red, but I think if I did sort of an orangish thing, no one would fault me for that. Oh, man. And so, at the time, when I built it in 2011, dark orange like that, or burnt orange, as is the color of UT, wasn't a color. So, oh, monkey. Where's my... It's not here, that's where it is. So now that that color is more readily available, I will try to finish it out, because now I think we could effectively do the roof, and it would look fantastic. I also want to get some stickers printed for the back of the building. Has between the windows has several Greek symbols, I think, and I think they just represent like the chapters of all the houses or something like that on campus. Which, you know, you don't necessarily want to celebrate a whole lot. I think those like fraternities and sororities are kind of it's a mixed bag. I'm not 100% sure about them. You know, for every like 10 good ones, you hear about like one bad one in the news, and it kind of colors your perception of the whole thing. And I think a couple of my friends even were in fraternities, so I don't want to fault them completely because they turned out fine. Uh-oh, stickers. Where's my sticker book? Where's my super suit? All right, so this is, uh-oh. This is number 1. That's an odd color choice to have for the black line, I would think. But there it is, whether I think it's good or not. So the other reason I was a little down on the event overall is that I worked really hard on not only the Capitol building, but I also worked really hard on all those microfighters, and I feel like I didn't get as much time to kind of talk about those as I wanted to, because I mean, I've been working on those for years. And I spent a lot of time making like fake stickers for them and developing nice little stands for them all to be on. I mean, just in general, I probably put as much time into them design-wise as I did the Capitol building, but it was really hard to talk about them given I was standing next to, you know, an 8-foot, 150-pound piece of plastic. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm hating the Capitol building right now, just because it was it's been such a I don't know why this is down so much, just because it's been such a time suck, and I just kind of want it to be done, and I know I still have like a month to go easy before it's done. But I will be proud of it when it's done, I'm sure. Just has to get to that point. Also, I have to unpack. I've got so many boxes full of junk right now, but I just don't want to do anything. Like, I'm going to stay up late waiting for Beth's flight to come in so I can go pick her up. And by the way, oh, there she is. Hi, Beth. Speaking of you. But then after she gets home, I just want to pass out. I know we're both like really tired, and she has to work tomorrow and I don't. And I'm not sad about that. Sorry, babe. But I am just completely wiped out. Like, my back hurts and my front hurts. My rib cage is like cramping because I've been standing so much, and it's just bleh. So it'll be nice to have some time off, and I think just kind of focus on work and focus on the kids for a little bit, and not be so much, well, what are you working on now? What are you doing right now? I'm working on the Capitol building. Forever. But by the same token, if like I get an email from the visitors board or the visitor center tomorrow and they're like, yeah, we're all finished and ready for it whenever you're done. We'd like to have it for this opening date of July 29th. I'd be like, nope, not gonna happen. Sorry. I ran into a girl with tattoos like that, pretty much exactly. I saw this one from like across the thing. She and her girlfriend were walking down the one of the aisles, and I kind of saw her arms, and I was like, oh, look at that Rebel Alliance symbol. And so I kind of walked up, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, hey, and so we compared tattoos for a little bit, and we're both like, what does that one mean? What is that one? What is that one? That was a very cool bit. I liked it. Black. And that one. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I should probably take a nap, but then I'm going to need to set an alarm. So here's another thing real quick in the last 5 minutes, because I think I'm going to make it for 5 more minutes, and then we're going to cut it. Because it's an hour and a half. That's how long the program runs. I have been watching Chernobyl, and y'all, if you haven't seen Chernobyl, holy balls. Oh my God, it's so disturbing and frustrating. As a person who lived through the experience, not locally, but I was alive in 1986, and so I remember that this was a thing, and I remember hearing about it, and it was just kind of all over the place. I am just disturbed as hell with this show. So I'm trying not to ruin it because I really think you should watch it, but it's a 6-part miniseries, and I watched episode 4 yesterday, and maybe I'll watch another one today. I don't know. But episode 4 really messed me up because it was like I don't remember how long, like a week, maybe it's just a few days after the explosion. And they're jumping around between this main guy who's kind of, it's Harris, whatever his name is, and the actor. And he's the lead physicist that understands the type of reactor that failed. So he's working with the Kremlin, and he's working with the state to try to get the whole thing cleaned up. And the state is very much in denial about the whole thing. Like, the state is not wrong. The Soviet state is 100% right about everything. And it's mind-boggling. But he's got a coworker, or he's got a colleague, not a coworker, but a colleague who's also a physicist. And they don't think the thing can fail either. So they're really curious about what happened. So she's going back, and she's going to the hospital where they've evacuated the workers, the people who were running on site there when it happened. And they show the people without faces, and most of their skin is gone, or is translucent, or is falling off of them. And it's just, oh God, like, it gave me so many nightmares. So, hey, Beth, if you're watching, you don't need to be watching this, because I know you said you weren't sure about it, but holy Jesus. Just really. And the rest of the show, I mean, is fantastic. It's like really well acted, and the suspense is fantastic, and the music's really interesting because it's like the music itself feels like a radiation monster that's just kind of permeating the whole show. So it's just really, really good. And I hate every second of it because I'm just clawing my eyes out. It's so suspenseful. She got arrested. The colleague got arrested for something, and she basically was at a hospital, and the KGB walked in and was like, oh, what are you going to report about this? You know, kind of thing. It's like, how dare you talk bad about the state or whatever. And so she gets bailed out of jail. Uh-oh. Did I forget a part? and she's talking to her colleague, the main character. Yeah, I totally forgot to put a couple pieces in here. And she's talking to him and interviewing him, or not interviewing him, talking to him about the interview she's conducting. And she's like, his face was gone. And there was part of the interview where she's in the hospital room and it's just a shot of her and some guy's feet and he's talking. So his face was gone, but he's still talking. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even handle it. It's just so good. It's very disturbing, but it's very good. That's all I'm going to say. But if you're squeamish or you don't like medical stuff like that, probably should stay away from it. It's not going to be your bag. I'm already going to tell you. What the what? Oh, this way. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be great. I can already tell. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Voltron's face. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm going to put up a bunch of pictures for Brick Fiesta, mostly just the mocks. There's a couple things where I got some pictures of people taking pictures of other stuff, but it was a good event overall. There were some parts I wasn't really happy about, but it had nothing to do with the people, the attendees or the organizers or anything like that. It was just a lot of fun, so I'm glad I was able to go and take the time from work a little bit and be able to contribute a build that everybody seemed to like a lot. So thanks to everybody for watching, and it was good talking to you all, and hopefully we'll see you Thursday when we get back into building, maybe doing some designing, but we'll see you Thursday. Thanks for watching. Bye.